Hello everybody and welcome to the Sovereign Village Project. This video I'm about to make is as much for me as it is anybody else, and it's a topic that I'm a little bit hypocritical about, and that is PPE, personal protective equipment, safety. I know this is not a fun talk. Nobody likes to think about safety. It's not exciting. But I just had an experience that really brought this fresh to my mind. I was working on this chicken coop here and created a little piece of sawdust that still hurts that went into my eye. I wasn't even using a saw, but I was using a drill, and I was looking up and a piece of stuff came in my eye and hurt really bad. And it brought to mind the fact that, at least right now, if I'm out there with my chainsaw and a fragment goes into my eye, or if I'm not wearing the proper stuff and I cut my leg or something, I still have the luxury of going to the hospital, but we really don't know how long that's going to last. Already in the next county next to us, in Perry County, they've shut down the hospital, brought in some large centralized management which ran it into the ground. Probably that was their marching orders. And made it unprofitable, and then they closed the whole thing, so that hospital no longer exists, and that entire county now has to drive an hour to really access any significant medical services. And if we allow the march of United Nations policies such as Agenda 2030 to continue unabated, well, if that continues, then they're going to continue doing their stated goal of pushing people out of rural areas, and that's going to mean shutting down essential services in any way possible, such as hospitals. So, given that, and the fact that those of us who, retain our bodily autonomy are possibly not going to be allowed into hospitals. I mean, that's already a conversation that's literally being had right now, is, not allowing us who haven't taken the untested shots and haven't had our mRNA altered, not allowing us to take part in emergency services anymore. And of course, as a prepper, we're always envisioning this SHTF scenario, and of course in that scenario there's no hospitals. So all this to say, you're going to need to access medical services, and you're not going to be able to, and you really want to avoid that situation as much as possible. Prevention is key. So I know a lot of us who are preppers, we go out and we buy our antibiotics and first aid kits, but just as important as that, or probably way more important, is personal protective equipment, because it's going to prevent those injuries that could be life-ending. A simple cut could really kill you in SHTF, or experiencing hearing loss from using a chainsaw constantly is going to render you incapable of hearing things at night and make you susceptible to attack. Now, so let's talk a little bit about specifics. I actually don't like these earplugs. These are the ones that go in your ears. As a musician, I can attest to some personal experience where I used these a lot, and it would actually impact the earwax, and then I have to get carbon peroxide to clear that out, or go to a doctor to have it cleared out. So again, those are two things I'm not going to have access to. So I actually prefer the ones that go over your ears, like the shooters earmuffs. Those are a lot better. So greatly prefer those. And then, of course, you can pick these up, and I would just prep on these. Every time you see them at the store, just grab a couple more. You cannot have too many safety glasses. You can get them at Dollar Tree. And of course, gloves certainly have their place as PPE, although I would caution, when you're working around power equipment, be mindful, chainsaws and stuff. I don't like to wear gloves because I used to work on a gill net boat, and I remember significantly one moment where my glove got caught in a piece of machinery and almost pulled me into it. So that is something to be mindful of. Other personal protective equipment that's critical on the homestead would do, and I do not have this yet. It's a little bit out of budget, but I'm going to get it as soon as I can. And that would be like Kevlar chaps. You put them on your legs, so when you're cutting with a chainsaw. I grew up in logging country. My ancestors were loggers. We were all loggers. Everything that was our main industry in Oregon, where I grew up. And I saw very experienced loggers who had worked their entire lives cut off parts of their bodies with chainsaws. So no matter how good you think you are with a chainsaw, mistakes happen, kickback happens, and you can take out a limb or a significant chunk of it. So to have those Kevlar chaps is really invaluable when you're using a chainsaw. Of course, there's a million more pieces of personal protective equipment, but those are just like the basic ones that you should not have one or two of. You should have lots and lots of, particularly the ear protection and the eye protection. The more you can have of that laying around your property, the better. For me, I made a spot in my shed, and it's marked PPE, and I keep that in there reliably, and it's by my tools, so I have to walk by that stuff to get the tools. And I'm starting to, today was a good wake-up call, getting that piece of sawdust in my eye, that I need to get serious about this, and I need to wear my personal protective equipment. I'm not Superman, I'm not invulnerable, as much as I like to think so. So hopefully that's a useful wake-up call for all of us, and we can all take it to mind and make sure that we are prepared and protected as we're working outside, because the more the S hits the fan, the more work we're going to be doing. I've found that the apocalypse isn't all killing zombies and stuff. It's building and building and building. We're building resilience for ourselves and self-sufficiency, and if you're going to be building a lot, you got to protect yourself. So keep that in mind, y'all, and get that PPE. It's at Dollar Tree, it's at Walmart, it's whatever Chinese big box store you shop at, it's there. Or preferably Buy American if that's even possible. All right, y'all, in the meantime, stay safe, be well, and happy homesteading.